Welcome to the Rise and Wander podcast, where we'll explore adventure, spirituality, and empowerment through the outdoors and beyond. Join me, Carla Amador, as we focus on topics around the mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional benefits derived through the outdoors. You'll also hear inspiring stories, get educated, and more. Let's get started. I wanted to take a moment to thank this season's Rise and Wander podcast sponsor, REI. REI is the outdoor gear retailer of the 52 Hike Challenge. I've been a member since I started my 52 hikes in 2012, and they've helped outfit me for all things hiking and outdoors since then. Becoming a member has many perks like 10% back annually on eligible purchases, a satisfaction guarantee, which gives you up to a year to return any purchases you aren't satisfied with, free shipping in the US, and so much more. Please visit them at rei.com. Join me, Carla Amador, for my new offering and program, Rise, a fully supported transformation program in which you complete 52 hikes while going through the 12 steps I've developed for healing and transformation through the outdoors. Each month, we'll go through a different topic with guided weekly exercises, one-on-one coaching with me, and access to a supportive community. This program is for anyone going through a life transition, those looking for a change, and anyone looking for accountability and guidance in their outdoors journey. Learn more and sign up at 52hikechallenge.com. Welcome to episode 3 of Rise and Wander. Today, we're going to be talking all about the Camino de Santiago, what it is, why I chose to hike it, and background information. Let's get started. There's so much to learn. I don't know if you guys have watched the movie The Way. I believe I watched that a long time ago, in addition to reading the Paulo Coelho books where he talks about pilgrimages. And I just remembered earlier in my life thinking to myself, wow, that sounds so cool. This walk that you go on, and I've always been drawn to like the spiritual journey in life. And so I just thought, like, how interesting could that be? And then, of course, as I became a hiker and did the 52 hikes, it became something that just felt like, yeah, that would be amazing. As I mentioned in earlier episodes, my mom came to me about 7 or 8 years ago and was like, hey, I really want to do the Camino before I die. And the way she would share that with me and the way she said it was like, whoa, I need to like listen here. She's asking for me to help her to achieve a dream. And so actually, we were supposed to do the Camino. My mom, my son, and I in 2020, we had tickets. We were going to do the French way. And basically, COVID happened and all of that was derailed. So it's part of the journey, as I mentioned. We have our plans, and then they say God's timing. If you believe, that's fine. If you don't, call it divine timing. But basically in 2022, I was planning for 2023. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to do this Camino. And interestingly enough, my sister, Sarah, she knew that I wanted to do this hike, and she gave me this gift one year. And basically it's hiking the Camino de Santiago. It's by Anna Dinteman and David Landis. Sorry if I mispronounced your names. But anyhow, I was thinking about travel ideas in 2022 for 2023 when I was reading this book. And here on this page, there was this page called Route Networks. And I found out that there are multiple routes you can take to get to Santiago de Compostela. And I had this idea to go to Portugal, and I found that there was a Portuguese route. And so as I was thinking about this and planning, I was like, you know what? This would be incredible to go to Portugal, to go to a country that I wanted to visit, and then start the Camino from there. And since I knew I was going to take my mom, when I was doing my research, I found out that there was a 2-week route from Porto to Santiago. And I said, perfect. I don't know if my mom can handle a month of walking let me do this 2 week route with her. And that way, this is a good middle ground. So she can do the thing she chose to achieve. And then I can get to go to Portugal. That was really great. And then since then, I found that there's so many other routes you can take to get to Santiago de Compostela. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more. And I'm going to use my book because I want to quote some really interesting facts about hiking the Camino. So, when you are deciding to hike, walk the Camino, you are called a pilgrim because typically these pilgrimages, again, were taken for various reasons. Here's the quote here in the book. A major motivation was orandi causa, in order to pray, to seek forgiveness, to fulfill a vow, or to petition to St. James for a certain blessing, such as healing. So, a big part of the reason why people go on this journey is for healing. I met some incredible people on the journey and I asked them, like, why are you doing this? Why are you taking this pilgrimage? And the reasons that I got were just so beautiful. And I'm actually going to talk about that in a different episode. But what I want to share is, who is Santiago? What is all of this? What is St. James? Okay, so St. James was one of Jesus's disciples. And so basically, when he passed away, they took his body. His body was taken after he passed away on a ship to Spain. Okay. And then basically they think the body, and this is all story, do your own research, but this is the story that is in the book here and also what I understand after hiking the Camino. So his body was forgotten, and then a Christian hermit named Pelayo saw a light shining down on Mount Libradon where his body was buried, and then decided to take it. They built this chapel, which is Santiago de Compostela now, and then they brought him over to this new cathedral, which is incredibly beautiful. There's a huge shrine built for St. James. They say his body is there. It's very beautiful. And what does St. James have anything to do with the word Santiago? Here's what happened. According to the story, is that basically St. James was said to have arrived on a white horse to assist the Christian army in fighting the Muslim invaders, which won James the title of Santiago Matamoros, using some of my Spanish here to give you the details, and AKA St. James the Moor Slayer. So basically, this is the legend. This is the story. You can pick up this book and learn more. Make sure that if you do pick this book up, you pick up the right one after you know what way you're going to hike it, because this one specific is the French route. And I ended up, like I said, doing the Portuguese route. Anyways, there's a little history about the Camino, why I chose to hike it. And there is so much stuff to share about this journey. And I'm so excited to share that with you in the next couple episodes. But I'm sure some of you have heard of it through friends. Some of you may have watched that movie I shared with you. I don't know. Maybe you've just suddenly woke up one day and were like, I want to do something deeply impactful. Whatever the reason, I do believe that you will learn so much from committing to taking this goal and to seeing it through. And there was a saying, I'm actually going to have some tea because it's like having conversation. There's actually a saying for pilgrims that the Camino provides. So if you feel the call, if you choose to take this journey, that the Camino will provide all of the lessons, the things and miracles that can happen on the road, on the way to Santiago will show up for you. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in some of the next episodes, but I want to talk a little bit about pilgrim symbolisms. There's this beautiful shell. I actually have it right here. I'm going to show it to you. This is the scallop. And basically, this is the one from the Camino. I actually grabbed this for my mother and I once we finished our Camino and picked up, actually, here, while I'm at it, and I'm going to, for those of you watching the physical version of this on YouTube or wherever you're screening it, here are our compostelas, and this is the certificate that we received. And actually, it's really beautiful because they printed in their writing here. So it's really special. Anyways, what I want to say is that this shell represents the walk or the path of life, and that it all converges at one place. There's a lot of stories behind the shells, and the book actually here talks a little bit about that. People put this on their backpack when they're walking it. Like I said, for me, I chose to gift this as a sign of completion. And then once we completed the Camino, then I kept that shell on the backpack, and wore that across the country. My mother and I traveled afterwards. Yeah. So the scallop shell is common along the Galician coast, and it represents fingers of an open hand, symbolizing the good deeds that are expected of a pilgrim. Another interpretation is that the lines of the shell converge at a single point, representing the pilgrimage roads to Santiago. So there's lots and lots of reasons. There's a legend story of that when the ship of St. James' body arrived in Galicia, basically it spooked a horse carrying a groom on a wedding day, and they fell into the sea. The groom was saved and emerged covered with shells, while medieval pilgrims only bore the symbol of the shell upon their return journey. Today, many pilgrims wear a shell on their way to Santiago. And then it says those who died along the path were buried with their shells. So, yeah, do whatever. When I talked about this in a recent blog post that I did for oboes, I said, do whatever feels right for you with your shell. Other people have done other things, like they carry different shells. It doesn't have to be this official one. I saw people write on their shells. I spoke to pilgrims that had written down every single year, because there's people that do this pilgrimages multiple times. So whatever the reason is for you, I think the thing that matters is to do this for yourself. The people we met, the experiences, the just again, every single day getting up and meeting people on the trails. You never knew what you were going to encounter, all the cafes, the foods. And then again, that connection with yourself, that time out in nature, that time to reflect, the time to be in stillness is what the journey is about. Because I will say this, I remember there was, I think it was like maybe our first or second day, and you'll see shrines all along the route. My mom said to me, like, hey, I just got this thing that came to me. And I'm like, welcome to the walking meditation. That's why hiking and being outdoors is so deeply powerful, because we don't realize it. But when we're in silence, when we turn off our electronics, just being with the stillness of nature and yourself, it's going to bring up information that you're not even realizing. It's that inner intuition. And sometimes I do believe it's guidance. I deeply believe in guidance. I think it quiets the mind and it allows for other thoughts to come. So she said, this thing happened and I had never thought about this, but I came up with this plan. I'm like, that is what nature and time out in stillness does for you. Pilgrims are out there and they're getting ideas and they're getting clarity on things, and what's allowing them a space for healing, a place for them to process their emotions, petition for healing. I met some people that were walking it because they had overcome cancer. Another woman was walking it with her grandmother because they were there to thank St. James for the healing that their mother had received from a cancer scare. I met someone that went after the death of her husband, and she just said she was in silence and just needed to get away. But in reality, she was connecting deeper within herself and honoring her grief. I hope that this has inspired you to maybe set this goal for yourself and think through that a little bit more. And again, sit with that why. I know for me, that why was to help my mom to achieve this life goal and also a personal goal for myself, but it wasn't my Camino. This was about my mother. And what it did for me was it made me very clear that helping someone achieve a dream, a goal, it's one of the most beautiful things we can do for someone else. It's one of the most selfless things we can do for someone else. And seeing her dream come true and me helping her and achieve that, I know it's something that I will never forget, and I know she will never forget. And I know how much it meant to her when we reached the end of the pilgrimage. And wow, I will talk more about that on the podcast. But yeah, that and seeing all the people trying and attempting to do the Camino. And I was like, wow, there's people here who don't even have the proper conditioning. They don't have the proper gear and training. And that's okay. They're still there doing it. That was so deeply impressive. But I was like, I actually have the capacity, the platform to teach people what they need to know before they go so that they have a better experience than if they just took off and went. And so on the next couple episodes, I'm going to be sharing more of that information that I felt deeply called to share so that you can have a transformative, beautiful journey that also is one of preparation, one of that you have the know-how, you have the tools, you have the guidance. So it is my honor to be your guide on this beautiful journey to Santiago. Thank you for letting me be a part of this journey. Thank you for listening. And I will see you on the next episode of Rise and Wander. Have a beautiful rest of your day.